Greetings, everyone. Well, today I got a bit of a different update for you. Stopped by some of the local used bookstores recently and rated their sci-fi collections, and also got one non-sci-fi title and one non-used title from Amazon as well. But just decided to lump them all in together into one massive sci-fi book update. So let's check it out today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Alrighty, so let's start, let's see here. Well, let's start with the non-sci-fi one, actually. We'll get this one out of the way here. So, what is this? What could this be? Well, this is a very old book that was easily the most expensive of them. This is about 30 bucks, but comes in this nice hard slipcase, and what it is this is Revolt in the Desert. I don't know how you can see on the side there. Revolt in the Desert by T.E. Lawrence. Now, as most of you will know, I'm a huge fan of Lawrence of Arabia, and I've been wanting to get the book that it was based on for a very long time. Now, the book that it was based on is actually called The Seven Pillars of Wisdom, and what Revolt in the Desert is kind of an abridgment of that, which was abridged by T.E. Lawrence himself. He basically thought, you know, it'd be nice to have just kind of a pared down version that just kind of sticks to the main events and whatnot. And that's what this is. So this essentially, you can think of this basically as the book of Lawrence of Arabia. So if you're a fan of the movie and you want to, you know, dive into the original source material, this is a good one to go with because it's about half the length of Seven Pillars of Wisdom, and in T.E. Lawrence's opinion, a little bit more easily digestible. Or if you really want to go full tilt boogie, track down Seven Pillars of Wisdom. I still want to get that version of it, but I figured this would be nice to have in the meantime as an alternate version. I'm just going to set this down here just because it's, honestly, it's not much to look at in terms of the cover because it's just got this big slip cover, but it's kind of cool. It came in this protective cover, and then it's got this cool artwork on the actual book. But so I think what I'm going to end up doing is read this and then go and rewatch Lawrence of Arabia for the umpteenth time. Absolutely one of my all-time favorite epic movies. And then, just before we get into the stuff from the used bookstore, I picked this one up from Amazon. We have Metropolis by Thea von Harbou. Now, some of you may not know that there is a novelization of Metropolis. Yes, the Fritz Lang movie, the same one. We're thinking of the same one. So this was his wife who actually co-wrote the screenplay and basically novelized her own screenplay. So this could very well be like the first novelization of a movie ever, you know? That was pretty cool. So at some point I want to rewatch the movie, and I thought, oh, it'd be great to read the book and then rewatch the movie and sort of get more. Apparently in the book she fleshes out a lot of the ideas from the movie more so, which is great. That's what I like to see in a novelization. So yeah, really looking forward to reading this because, as you know, I love the movie. Okay, now what did I get at the used bookstore? Well, a few cool things. This is a book I've actually been wanting to read for quite a while because again, I love the movie adaptation of it. We have Millennium by John Varley. So this is a nice trade paperback edition of Millennium. The movie was basically starred Chris Christopherson. It's essentially a time travel story, and I've always really loved the movie. Not to be confused with the Lance Henriksen series produced by Chris Carter of X-Files fame. But yeah, very good stuff. Looking forward to that. And let's see, what else do we got here? This one was kind of just a cool find. Speaking of novelizations, I found the novelization of Back to the Future 2. Yeah, pretty neat. This is kind of rare to find. So it's written by Craig Shaw Gardner. I've got a couple of other adaptations that he wrote. There seemed to be sort of this stable of writers that were the adaptation guys. I know Alan Dean Foster wrote quite a lot of them as well, but Yeah, so good stuff. Back to the Future 2. And let's see, and then picked up a couple of Star Trek books. This is pretty cool. These are from like before Del Rey took over for the Star Trek publication. So these are really early ones from, when's this one from? This is from 1976. So this is before the Star Trek motion picture even came out. Del Rey picked it up with the Star Trek motion picture and kind of continued on from there. But this predates it. So this is from like the limbo period between the end of the series and the movie. So we have Star Trek New Voyages, or The New Voyages, which was, let's see, so 8 original Star Trek stories never seen on the screen. Forward by Gene Roddenberry. Special introductions by the cast of Star Trek. So yeah, so it's basically a collection of 8 short stories in the world of Star Trek. And from the early days, I mean, this is when only the original crew existed. Very cool. I have a bunch of books from that era, and it's just fascinating to me because it's this little snapshot of Star Trek history when there was no other Star Trek other than the original crew, and that's it. And there's actually a ton of books that came out around that time, like in that era, that you know, are cool to have. Speaking of which, here's another one. We have Vulcan by Kathleen Sky, which is one of the first. It's a beautiful painted cover on there. Look at that. It was one of the first original novels based on Star Trek. Yeah, I've got a bunch of the. Yeah, I think Price of the Phoenix is another one I have, and Spock Messiah, Planet of Judgment. I think Planet of Judgment is the first one. There's also Mudd's Angels, which I think is actually an adaptation of a story, like one of the stories of the original show. But yeah, anyway, another one of the really early Star Trek novels. Very cool stuff. Love that stuff. I've got an even earlier one. It was Mission to Horatius or something like that. It was actually a hardcover young reader, like a young adult book, and which I believe was originally published back in the 60s, like when the show was still on. So pretty cool. And then finally, last but most certainly not least, I picked up a couple of classic science fiction novels by Robert Heinlein. This is an author I've been wanting to check out for quite some time. So first off, we have Stranger in a Strange Land, which is an all-time classic. If you ever wondered where the term grok came from, like, do you grok, as in do you understand? This is it. This is where it came from, right here. People think it's from other things, but no, those other things got it from here. This is where it originated, as far as I know. If I'm wrong, tell me, but I'm pretty sure that's it. And then finally, I loved the movie of this. I loved the animated series that followed it. I haven't seen all of the sequels. I've seen up to the 3rd one, but been wanting to read the book for ages, so got this very early printing of Starship Troopers. There you go. So very nice. Is this, which one is this? Is this the 1959? This is the July 1969 edition of Starship Troopers. Very cool. I love these old school painted covers. You just rarely see covers like that nowadays. It's just something, I don't know, just something magical about them somehow. It's hard to put into words. And Stranger in a Strange Land, if you're wondering, here is from December 1968. So yeah, pretty cool to have these early editions of them. That's one of the reasons I love going to the used bookstores, is you often find like ancient editions of things that you would just never find nowadays. So there you go. So some cool additions to the Sci-Fi shelf. I just got to find time to read them all now. But yeah, definitely looking forward to all of those. There's a lot of stuff there that I've been wanting to check out for quite a while. In particular, Metropolis, Starship Troopers, and Millennium. Those are 3. And Stranger in a Strange Land I've always been curious about because I know that it's considered one of the big influential sci-fi novels of the 60s. So, yeah, it's going to be great to finally be able to check it out. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So thanks very much for watching. Big thanks to my Patreon sponsors, and sayonara.